Hi there, welcome to Therapy Thursday with All Points North Lodge. I'm Laurie, Director of Family Relations, and coming to you from New Jersey. I am pretty excited about my guest today who's coming to us from New York. Definitely a prominent face in the city, around the city. Many people associate him with Freedom Institute. He's been there for quite some time. Peter Lazar is an LCSW and a clinician, a consultant, and a coach, and he'll be joining me shortly. And hey there, Lana. Good to see you. So it's kind of a muggy day here in New Jersey. I'm kind of getting antsy to get back out to Colorado and catch up with everybody out there, see what's been going on. Spend some time at the lodge, which is always fun for me. And there's my sister, my loyal sister. I look forward to seeing who actually signs on. That's not my family, but usually my sister and my daughters manage to say hello. And I'm just waiting for Peter to pop on with us. Hey, Jeremy. I gave him instructions myself, so I'm hoping that that everything works out okay. So I've known Peter for some time out in Colorado. I'm out in New York, not in Colorado. I've known him in New York, and I'd have to say that when I think about really needing an answer to a question and not sure who to reach out to, he's really the name that comes to mind. He's a great resource, a really, really smart guy, and somebody that's easy to collaborate with in the area of treatment, mental health. He's a great referent to provide services to couples and families and individuals that are struggling with substance use and mental health issues. So let me see if we could find where he is. Let's see if so we don't. So let me see if I can get him to connect another way, because he's really got to do it through Instagram Live, and I may jump off and see if I can help him through there. Let's see if he connects. There he is. So Peter, you just need to hit the Instagram Live. There you go. We're just waiting for him to connect. Hey there.
Technology.
I know I already gave you all these wonderful accolades and you missed them.
Oh, can you do it all over again?
I am going to do it all over again. So this is Peter Lazar live, LCSW, coming to us from New York or Westchester. Are you in Manhattan?
I'm in Westchester County, just
Westchester.
north of the city.
So I did tell people that you are an amazing clinician, consultant, and coach. And I was also saying how, and I think I could speak for a lot of people, not just myself, but when we're looking for somebody who's a really great resource to brainstorm with, bounce ideas off of, and really get some really good advice in industry. I think many people would say that your name comes across as the person to reach out to. But personally, and this is not because we're on Instagram Live, but this is the truth. When I think back to some of the really best moments that I've had working in this field, one of the best moments I've had was when we went to brunch together in, I don't know whether, was it Rye?
Likely, yeah.
Okay.
My private office.
Yes. And I got to see this whole different side to you. Not that you aren't always the perfect gentleman, but you were.
I hope I was then too.
You were, and you were just the whole experience was so enjoyable, and actually getting to spend time with just you alone. Usually when I see you, we're with other people in a crowd, and everything about that, the meal and the conversation was so lovely, and you were such a gentleman, and it was just such a fun time. So
Thank you.
I'm glad I got to have that experience.
Me too. Thank you. Yeah.
So I know that there's been a lot happening over the last few months, and we're all talking about the things that are happening through COVID. I know that one of the things is you got a dog.
Yes, I did. Yes. It wasn't a COVID dog, though. It was, we've been planning on getting a dog for about a year now. And then when we decided, well, we're home, we may as well make it happen. So we did. Took a little doing because everybody was adopting dogs, but
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a COVID dog. I know it does seem like the perfect time to get a dog when people are around and able to spend time together.
Yeah.
But I had also said that a lot of times people associate you with Freedom Institute. You've definitely been with them for a long time. I know you're taking on a new role with them now.
Yeah, I've moved out of the clinical outreach role, and as I'm developing my private practice and my consulting business, I've moved into a clinical, consulting therapist role. So I'm there running, facilitating their early recovery group.
So has that started?
Oh yeah, that's been going on for
ongoing,
quite a long time. Yeah, so that hasn't changed for me. Okay. I get to stay. I get to remain a part of the clinical team there, which is very special to me.
That's great. Do you want to tell us a bit about that group?
Yeah, it's at Freedom Institute which is based in New York. New York, of course, everybody's virtual now, but Freedom is the country's oldest independent, not-for-profit outpatient program, and been around since 1976. And they asked me to facilitate one of our early recovery groups several months ago. And basically, it's for people who have approximately less than 90 days of continuous sobriety and kind of getting their sea legs back when it comes to figuring out how to handle emotions and life in general without a medicator, such as drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. And do you find that the issues that people are coming up with now in struggling in the early times of recovery different with COVID? Do you feel like they're pretty much the same?
It's interesting. I think it's a little bit different. Obviously, a lot more people are isolated. And this is a disease. Addiction is a disease that feeds off of isolation. It wants to separate you from the people, places, and things that are healthy for you. So that certainly is a challenge that people come into our virtual room with.
Right.
By contrast, some people are not isolated. They're many of them, especially during the serious quarantine part before we started phasing back in, many of our clients were quote unquote stuck in the house with their family. And very often, family is a chief activator of all sorts of issues, the family dynamic, that is. So with Freedom, they have a wonderful family therapy team that's relational in nature, and that's their training, relational family therapy. And so they really are good at focusing on the relationship within the family system as the client. And so that's very helpful for our clients who are, quote unquote, stuck in the house with family.
Yeah, I know that really was a challenge for a lot of people, and an opportunity for families to really see how unwell some of their family members were. And in just doing some background research on you, I came across an interview that you had done with, was it Dan Pierce?
Yeah.
Okay, on DBT, and
Yeah.
just interesting to listen to you talk a little bit through the model of DBT, but talking about the family in that interview as well, and
Yeah.
um, the kind of the way in which we often see in addiction that everybody's finger is pointed at the person using substances, and really when we can take them out of the center of the circle and work with the whole system, the results are usually much better.
That's
So
right.
so it's really funny. I was looking for I actually was going to text John Lieberman and just ask him for just a
Who?
little, John Lieberman,
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
and ask him for a little fun fact on you,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure
Yeah.
I probably would have gotten many, but I just started Googling you and seeing what I could come up with. And I did see that, which was, I think, actually a great interview on DBT, which definitely something to learn from. Um, but I know that you have a lot of interest. I also know you do have a practice up in Westchester, and you want to talk about what that practice consists of, what the clients are
Yeah.
there that you like to see.
Yeah, sure. So I have two offices actually. One's in the city, in New York City, and one is in Westchester County. Of course, the majority of what I'm doing right now is virtual, just like many of my colleagues in private practice. So uh, um, I have secure Zoom with that's password protected, and my clients can reach me that way. We could do our sessions that way. But the clinical focus of my practice is really around not just substance use disorders. That's something that I've been doing for the better part of 20 years. Um, but I also like working with families, partners, children of, or when I say children, adult children, because I don't work with young kids,
Mm-hmm.
of people who are struggling with substance use disorders. Sometimes I'll get into couples work, which is great. And outside of substance use disorders, of course, like many of us in private practice, we can work with people who are having issues with depression or anxiety. And especially now in the age of COVID, I'm experiencing a lot of people who are having sort of these existential crises around, what's happening with my life? What do I do with my life? Why is this happening to me? And I try to get them to focus on or reframe it in such a way that they're asking themselves the question rather than from a victim lens, why is this happening to me? But rather, why is COVID happening for you? And what do you want to leave this pandemic with when it's all over? So really trying to reframe that into an opportunity focus and say, well, this is a great opportunity for you to look at your life and imagine the things that you want to do, because eventually this is going to be over. Eventually, COVID will be over. So, like a lot of us in the field in private practice, we really are walking through with our clients through their individual experiences of the pandemic.
Right.
And then also, just I have a string of people who come to me with with work-related issues. That
Mm-hmm.
was kind of a Freudian slip, because very often people find themselves recreating their family of origin issues in the workplace. And so I help people navigate the dynamics at work, and very often it speaks to what their role was in the family, and very often they're playing that role at work, and even trying to recreate their family system at work, and very often in a self-defeating way. And so I kind of call it career suicide prevention, and that's
Right.
part of what I do as well.
But that's great. That's really interesting because you could see where that would happen, where you would just create the system that's familiar to you and let it play out in another part of your life.
It happens very often. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And the whole experience of COVID, I really do look at life very similarly. Like, really, what is this teaching me? And there's so much that we could learn from what this experience through COVID has been. And I think very early on, it was really about, slowing down, taking notice, simplifying things, just breathing. We didn't know where this was going or how it was going to play out or how long it was going to last. I know that very first weekend, we went to a wedding in the city around, it was March 14th. And by that point, it was already known that we shouldn't be in the city. We shouldn't be at a wedding. It was a family that we cared very much for, and we made the decision that we were going to go. And when we walked in, we were going to stay in the city. We decided to take a car in and take a car home. And the service attendants were standing there with, rather than glasses of champagne, they were standing there with trays of hand sanitizer. And I took one, and my husband said, "Oh, no, thank you. I'll use my wife's." And I was like, "No, take your own," because at that point we couldn't get any.
Yeah.
The shelves were already empty. But it was really just an opportunity, because it was so anxiety producing, like what is going on with the world, and just, kind of taking that breath and slow down and say, like, there's a lesson out here for all of us. And I know that, like, out in LA, my kids were like, "Wow, there's no traffic and the air is clearer." And, there were some gifts to this crazy time that we were going through.
I had a tree bloom outside my house that I had never seen bloom before. I had no idea.
Right.
So there you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Right. Taking notice of those things. And it's kind of crazy. The other thing that which I've actually known about you, but that came up when I was looking for different topics, was there's another Peter Lazar who's a musician.
Apparently, yes.
And I was like, no, that's not the guy I'm looking for. But so I know that music is a huge part of your life, as well as the work that you're doing consulting for. Are you consulting for NATAP?
No, I'm consulting for the Trusted Provider Network.
Trusted Provider.
Yeah. They're a group based in Louisiana. It was founded by Christopher O'Shea and Jimmy Mooney, who are veterans in the addiction treatment space. And so the Trusted Provider Network, which is now headed up by Trevor Colquhoun and Dick McWilliams, they, in conjunction with Chris and Jimmy, are putting together an online platform that will touch all points in the mental health industry. It's going to be a platform for industry professionals, so not for the consumer, not for the clients, not for patients, but rather for industry professionals, which will connect all industry professionals in all of the mental health spaces. So employee assistance, hospice, addiction treatment, mental health, you name it. It's a platform that's going to connect all of these people and all of these programs at the various levels of care. And so one of the things that really separates it from, well, it's unique. It doesn't exist. This kind of platform doesn't exist anywhere, at least on a national level. So that in and of itself is unique. Also unique to this platform will be the fact that you have to qualify to be a member. So you have to be a licensed or credentialed mental health professional or facility in good standing, state licensed, state credentialed. So you're not only vetted at the beginning to make sure you qualify, you also will be reviewed throughout the course of your time on the network. And if you lose your license, you will lose your standing in the network. So what that does is it helps individual practitioners who are looking for other practitioners across the country, or treatment centers that are interested in, that may use the network for continuing care planning, for example, with this platform, they can find professionals throughout the country and have a better chance at making a solid and trusted referral through this network. That's just one piece of it. So it's not just about the referral network. It's also about the fact that, and this is something that's I think is really cool, the Trusted Provider Network is now one of the largest, if not the largest, provider of continuing education programs. So they're doing workshops. They had one yesterday with 1,000 people signed up. And so treatment centers can do these workshops. Various associations, like the Hospice Association, can do these workshops. Individuals can do these workshops and really show off their expertise of their practice or their program or facility. And so it's a great way for individual practitioners to get credentialed and, more importantly, to get educated about specific topics in their field. And at some point very soon, we're also going to be able to connect people in virtual networking events, as well as supervision groups.
That is, yeah, that is very exciting. Somebody was asking on here, it's animation or like a social media for mental health networking, but it sounds like it's there's a lot of social media platforms where people introduce their treatment centers and facilities that they're working for. This sounds like this has been vetted, so we know that the people that we're associating with are really doing the right thing in treatment.
That's right. And yeah, and an interesting feature that we have on the website is you can actually double check to make sure that an individual or facility's license is in good standing. So if you were to go to my profile and click on my credential, New York Licensed Clinical Social Worker, it will take you to the New York State website to show that my license is in good standing. And if it's not in good standing, obviously at some point I'm going to be off the network, but right. Let's hope that never happens.
Right. No, but no, that's really important to know, because that's, I think for many of us, I think that's really the challenge in this industry, is really staying abreast of programs that are doing the right thing, that are ethical providers, that are
yes.
licensed in their fields of expertise, and on and on. And
yeah.
We're always very cautious in who we're communicating with, and sort of keep our network small at times so that we can stay on top of what's happening. And this sounds like a great way to do that.
And I'm noticing on one of the comments, they're mentioning business development. It will help folks who are doing consultative business development, such as yourself, because, and when I was doing this kind of work, we would get calls from people and say, who do you know on Long Island? And Long Island
right.
is 900 square miles. We may not know a specific professional on Long Island or up in Syracuse or out in Dubuque,
right.
Iowa. So what this is going to do is for folks in the clinical outreach world, this will be a great tool, much better than Psychology Today, that'll enable you to actually find professionals in specific areas. And again, distinguishing that from the aforementioned other website, you'll have a better chance at making a solid referral because their license will have been verified, and also will be more specific about what their specialties are. That
is really great to know. It's and I'm so happy that you're part of that, because that's really, I feel like that's a lot of where your reputation comes in, is a really bright guy, well-versed in this industry, ethical provider, always there to help somebody else. And, I've learned so much from you over the years, and in many conversations, even with other clinicians, saying like, who would know the answer to that? And it's like, I think Peter Lazar. So it's so I feel like I kept you much longer than I said I would. I'm so happy that you came on today. And can you just let people know where to find you? Do you have a website or an email?
Um, I don't have a website yet, although I am working on that. But people can reach out to me at my email address, which is peterlazar1800 at yahoo.com.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this with me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Laurie. It's good to see you.
You too.
All
Take
right.
care.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.